Today on Morning Drive, the Big Easy and Phil the Thrill are both making their 100th major championship starts this week at Quail Hollow. We relive some of the most memorable major moments from two of the game's greats.
And Phil Mickelson with a Sunday to remember.
And Charlie Reimer wasn't always the big timer. Today we take you on a trip back to his high school where it all began.
They love me here. Did you hear them clapping?
And the age-old debate rages on. Which player in the field this week is the best without a major? We will take the pulse of the nation and take you inside the locker room as our pros debate. It's all ahead on Morning Drive.
Eight miles from uptown Charlotte sits the Quail Hollow Club, an annual site for a PGA Tour event, but for the first time in its history, major championship golf has come here. Final day of preparations for the 99th PGA Championship, the final major in the men's game in 2017. And Morgan Hoffman, I'm not sure those black socks are a good look. We're not going to discuss that.
We'll draw the line
there. Good morning. Gary Williams, Charlie Reimer, John Cook. Guys, how are we?
I was doing fine until I saw those black socks. The only thing worse than that is a towel in the back pocket when you're playing golf, like our producer Burkett does.
You gotta lose the black socks.
No, he looks like a mechanic, and not the mechanic who plays golf well. You know, John and Charlie, the final day before you enter into the pressure cooker of a major championship, what's on your mind?
Well, I heard Phil Mickelson yesterday talking a little bit about the scoring that he expects this week, and Phil said he thinks that a score very close to even par is going to win, which seems pretty low when you look at the traditional scoring, John, here at the Wells Fargo. But this is a very different golf course than what we see at the Wells Fargo. The rough is nasty. He's playing a little bit longer. It's a par 71. I don't know that I think even par right now will win, but even par is going to make a heck of a check this week.
Yeah, and the guys, they've seen the golf course in a couple different lights. Yesterday it was wet. It finally got some rain. The fairways were not firm, not fast. The greens still stayed pretty firm and fast. Today they're just kind of fine-tuning some things, trying to get a little bit of rest this afternoon. And I think that you're right, Charlie. I think the winning score is now on their mind. What's it going to take to get around this golf course efficiently for 72 holes? Even par would be a pretty good score. You break 70 each and every round, or just under that. I think that's a good score. Good to shoot for, 4 or 5 under par.
Very interesting. Well, what is happening now? Tiger Woods is one on this golf course, and obviously he's not here this week. His arraignment is today on his charge from a couple of months ago. He will not be attending the DUI arraignment today, which means that he will enter a non-guilty plea according to the Associated Press. Now, as we discussed yesterday morning, and it was confirmed yesterday afternoon, major changes coming. The PGA Championship is going to move to May. The Players is going to go back to March, which has enormous ramifications to the entire schedule of the PGA Tour. We'll discuss that, but as we pointed out, Players in March, Masters in April, PGA Championship in May, U.S. Open in June, and the Open in July. It builds tremendous momentum. You've got all of these unbelievable events on a monthly basis, and that means likely down the road that the FedEx Cup playoffs are probably going to move up into the month of August. But with that being said, let's go inside the ropes. The number one player in the world getting ready. And John, I know that you were very bullish about Dustin this week.
Yeah, I do like his chances. He's showing signs. He's been wildly inconsistent since he's come back from his injury just before Augusta. Seems like he's putting together 3 of 4 good rounds. He had been driving the ball just superbly, and as of late he's just got that little straight ball going. It's not cutting quite as much, but last week he showed some pretty good signs. He had a bad day on Saturday, but other than that, 3 pretty good rounds around Firestone, which a golf course you have to drive your golf ball on. Obviously here you got to drive your golf ball Dustin Johnson way, and I think he's ready to get back on track. I feel this is going to be his week. You're not going to have to putt great around here, but you're going to have to drive your golf ball.
I'm with you, John, 100% on that. If he can start getting that straight ball to start peeling a little bit to the right and get some confidence with that, he's going to be just fine. But I will tell you this, if you get inconsistent with that driver, it's going to absolutely kill you, because I don't think whoever wins this week will have been able to do much out of the rough. That goes for off the tee and around the greens.
Okay, with that being said, let's talk about this golf course, because agronomically, when they play their event annually, their PGA Tour event in May, it's overseeded. It's a very different type of golf course. You've touched on scoring. One thing you're looking forward to and interested in about how this golf course will play this week.
Yeah, that Bermuda grass rough around the greens, I just don't think anyone's going to have a chance to get up and down on a consistent basis. But if you're missing the fairways, you're absolutely done. For that reason, whoever wins will not only have hit it long, but they'll put it in the fairway as well. There's a stat for that on the PGA Tour. It's total driving. It combines accuracy and distance. And if you look at the top 25, some of the notable names in the top 25 in total driving on the PGA Tour, there's some players that I look forward to. Keegan Bradley's #1 total driving on the PGA Tour. Ricky Fowler's #3 total driving on the PGA Tour. You get a little bit past that, you got Sergio. He's 7th in total driving. You look at Paul Casey, who can come up big in big weeks, and is certainly due to maybe have a breakthrough in a major championship. Drives the ball beautifully. Hudson Swafford, if you go out and you walk the range and you ask the players who drives the ball really well, I'm going to tell you what, in the top 3 or 4, you're going to get Hudson Swafford. He's a big guy, winner now on the PGA Tour, drives it beautifully. These are the kinds of players early in the week that I think have a great shot of winning this PGA Championship.
You're exactly right. Graham McDowell told me, he played with him at Eagle Point where the Wells Fargo was held this year. He said, if I had anybody to drive the ball for me, it'd be Hudson Swafford. I said, really? He said, yeah. He's that good. What about you, John?
I agree with Charlie. You got to drive your golf ball around this golf course. It's a big ballpark, and if you drive your golf ball in the fairway but miss these greens, very, very difficult to get the ball up and down. The Bermuda rough around the greens, the ball sits down. It will not sit up. You think that you might get lucky and draw some lines. That's not going to happen. And the Tiff Grand approaches up 20 yards up to the green, very tight, very mowed, very difficult to get the ball up and down from even around the greens. The greens really kind of kept their firmness yesterday with that rain. So missing greens here, it's really going to equate to bogeys.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are players, the likes of Phil Mickelson, who have a lot of experience on this golf course, but this is the final day of preparations. Your game plan has to be in place, and this is not about tinkering with a golf swing on a Wednesday on the eve of the final major of the year, and we are very fortunate. The temperatures are very moderate for this time of the year. I can promise you, having lived here for 12 years, you grew up here, August, it can be sweltering. It's actually quite pleasant.
I'm just barely sweating.
Barely. As we send it back to the world headquarters of Golf Channel, say good morning to the gang, and welcome back home in studio to Cara Robinson. It's nice to see her face, Damon.
Indeed, Gary, good morning. Great to be with Cara, back from the Rico Women's British Open. Of course, a 3-time winner on the PGA Tour in Chris DeMarco. Welcome back. What's on your mind on the eve of this 99th PGA?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's been a good few weeks. First of all, Kingsbarns was a beauty, and that was a terrific event, and we're really looking forward to the Solheim Cup next week. But right now, as you say, it's all about the 4th and final major of the men's year. I was lucky enough actually to spend a good bit of time with Jordan Spieth in the Claret Jug right after he won at Royal Birkdale. I did this 10-minute interview with him, walking from really the back of 18th green all the way to his winners press conference. We got interrupted a few times on the way by the likes of Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, Zach Johnson, and Jason Duffner, who stayed in the pouring rain until he'd finished all of his media commitments to celebrate with him. It was a wonderful mark of their friendship. But it was fascinating to talk to him at that very moment to find out how he would be feeling at this very moment on the eve of trying to win the Grand Slam. I said to him, will you feel this week as you felt when you came into St Andrews a couple of years ago trying to go for 3 in a row? And he said, I don't know, but I expect it to be the same. Well, from watching this week so far, Damon, I would say he's dealing with it a little bit better. I think he hasn't put as much pressure on himself as we saw at the Old Course in 2015.
He's so composed. He's a major champ. A lot of people want to be where Jordan Spieth Spieth is Chris DeMarco. What are players thinking about on a Wednesday, the day before they kick off a major championship?
Well, I mean, today's still a little bit more preparation. I mean, obviously it rained yesterday. They're trying to get to know the golf course a little bit better. I like what Jordan Spieth said earlier, too, though. I like how he's saying Rory's the favorite. He's kind of deflecting the pressure on
Rory's
him.
like,
putting it somewhere else. Obviously, going for the Grand Slam is the big story. But the players are going out and playing today.
Yeah.
Going out and seeing the golf course. Easy day today. They don't want to put too much work in. If you're searching today on Wednesday, if you're looking for your game, you're not going to be around this weekend. So today you should have everything ready to go. You should just get to know the golf course, get to know the green speeds, get to chip around the greens, how the ball's reacting into the greens, that kind of stuff. Just tidying up your game.
Would you be in shorts today?
You missed our big chat yesterday.
No,
he would not be in shorts.
Okay.
I am not against shorts. I actually think it's great that they're wearing them. But on a day like today where it's not too hot, I would be wearing pants.
Okay.
I would be. But if it's sweltering hot, yes, I'm wearing shorts.
One of the guys in shorts yesterday, that leads us to happening now. Phil Mickelson and Ernie Els, they're making their 100th start this week in a major championship. Two members of the World Golf Hall of Fame. You cannot write the history of the game without Phil Mickelson and Ernie Els. Yesterday, they held a joint press conference. It included a cake. They were giving each other hugs and the needle, really honoring their achievement. A nice cake by the PGA of America. The two have been competing against each other since they were teenagers back in 1984. Ernie clipped Phil at Torrey Pines in the Junior Worlds, and of course Phil beat Ernie in that 2004 Masters. You see the resumes. They're making their 100th major start. 9 combined majors between them, 102 wins worldwide.
How cool is that? Both 47 years of age. It was really neat. You never see two veterans like that hold a press conference together. But with that in mind, let's find out what your favorite major moments are from these two champions. And we will start with the man who has just one more in his resume. You've got 5 moments to choose from with Phil, Chris.
Yeah, one of the great moments, obviously playing Ryder Cups, President's Cups with him was amazing. But that 04 Masters, being in the last group with him, I remember him walking on the 18th, off the 8th tee box saying, you know what, he goes, I don't know who wins this tournament, whether it's us, but somebody from this group is going to win it. And I saw him buckle down in that back 9. And I saw him just go nuts, and when I say nuts, birdie in 5 of the last 9 holes with a great par putt on 10, and basically gave me the blueprint of how to win at Augusta, which I carried over the next year to 05. Obviously, he got beat by Tiger Woods in the playoff, but I just took a back seat there and watched Phil kind of perform and how he did, and it was amazing. And just the way he handled himself, and to finally get that monkey off his back and get that first major win, it was pretty cool to be there. You
mentioned 2005. That's the year of my favorite Phil moment. It was at Baltusrol, the PGA Championship. You saw him right there tapping the Jack Nicklaus plaque from 1967, the 1-iron. Phil needed to get up and down for a birdie. I thought that move to tap the plaque was kind of Phil, a little bit of a boss move. This was his coming out. He'd won the Masters, as you mentioned, in 2004. He'd win it again in 2006. This was the sweet spot of his career. He desperately wanted to win in the New York, New Jersey area. I'll never forget a fan said, "You're one of ours now, Phil," when he won his second major championship of his career. A sweltering week and a Monday finish at Baltusrol.
Well, my most memorable Phil moment has to be this at Muirfield in 2013 when he finally broke through to win the Open in his 20th appearance. He began the final round 5 strokes back, but produced a final round 66 to eventually conquer links golf. I was at the back of 18 and scoring with all of his family, coach, caddy. It was a wonderful moment because that championship had given him a lot of hurt in the past. Anyway, this is where he will begin his PGA Championship, is trying to quest for a 6th major, I should say, at 1:25 p.m. tomorrow, alongside the defending champion Jimmy Walker and the 2013 PGA champion Jason Dufner. Well, that's one of them. Now what about the 4-time major champion Ernie Els? The Big Easy's had some special moments too. You've played with him in a lot of his majors. What do you remember the most?
We go back so far. We played the 1992 South African tour together, and where he won out of 8 tournaments, like 6 of them. So I mean, I've watched a lot of great play by Ernie. But I would say, over and above his major wins, which I was always so happy to see him win, the fact when I was contending in the 04 PGA and also the 06 British Open, how he was with me, and how he when he figured he couldn't win, how he was pumping me up and keeping me going and having me, stay in focus and say, go do it, get this thing done. And just the way he kind of took back and he was rooting for me and kind of helped me along the way. I mean, having a major champion behind you was pretty amazing. So, I just the gentleman that he is, both those guys are who they are, and they're the great guys for the PGA Tour.
Yeah, mine is 2002, the Open at Muirfield. This was him making a double bogey on the 16th hole. He would later say, you know what, I thought I would be a different person if I hadn't come back and won this championship. My mind was saying, you know what, is this how you want to be remembered? By blowing another major? Instead, he gathered himself and beat Steve Elkington, Thomas LeVay, and Stuart Appleby in a playoff to win the Open for the first time. And I loved his reaction when he got this win. He'd already won 2 U.S. Open. Look at that. The putter flies, the relief on his face. I just love this moment for earning one of the true ambassadors of the game.
For me, I will always remember another Open. 2012, Royal Lytham and St Anne's. He began the final round 6 strokes back, but it was an amazing closing birdie on 18 that at the time set the clubhouse lead at 7 under par. He didn't know he would go on to win it. Adam Scott had a 4-stroke advantage, but bogeyed, you can see him there on 18, the last 4 straight holes to literally hand the Big Easy his second claret jug by a single stroke. Now, this was a scene on the passing green alongside his longtime caddy, Ricky Roberts. I was right there, and it was wonderful to see him being told the news that he had won a claret jug for the second time. Well, tomorrow, in his 100th major championship start, Ernie Els will begin the 99th PGA Championship off of the 10th tee at 7:45 a.m. alongside the winner of last week's WGC Bridgestone Invitational, Hideki Matsuyama, and a resurgent Ian Poulter, who finished 3rd in his last start at the RBC Canadian Open. Now, though, it is time to say good morning to Bailey Mosier.
Good morning. Yeah, impressive that both of those guys, 100 major starts in the same week. If Phil had skipped or hadn't skipped the U.S. Open earlier this year, then that wouldn't have matched up as well, would it? Well, it is time for the tee sheet. Happy Wednesday morning to you guys out there. It is August, which means it is back to school time for millions of kids, including our resident big kid, Charlie Reimer. So earlier this week, Charlie went back to his high school stomping grounds, and unlike his contributions when he was a teenager, this time around they were actually helpful. See what we mean in just a little bit. And world number 1, Dustin Johnson, he was schooling the entire world of golf early in the season, but he has cooled down ever since that slip at the Masters. Can he salvage his season? Can Jordan Spieth win that Grand Slam? We're going to be going inside the ropes all morning long, checking in on players getting their final tune-up for the final major of the year. And before Spieth won the Open last month at Royal Birkdale, there were 7 first-time major winners in a row dating back to Jason Day at that 2015 PGA. So that got our experts wondering if we'll see another first-time winner this week. And among those in the field, who is the best player without a major? So our experts are going to tell you who they think it is, but we also want to hear from you at home as well. So get on social media. This is our social media question of the day, whatever platform you want to use. Who do you think is the best player without a major in the PGA Championship field this week, and why? We're going to unveil our responses and yours throughout the morning. So Morning Drive, we are live on site all week at Quail Hollow. We kick it back out there now to Gary Williams.
Bailey, I know that Sergio's glad he's not part of that question anymore. This guy isn't either. And if Dustin Johnson happened to win this week, then we've got a real horse race for Player of the Year alongside Jordan Spieth. Is he 100%? We're just getting started on the eve of the 99th PGA on Morning Drive.